I'm Hester Prynne, DJ and licensed therapist. This is Music is Therapy. Your session starts now. Welcome to the podcast. If this is your first time here, maybe it's because you heard last week's episode where I interviewed my own husband about our marriage. Yes, on tape for this podcast. The episode was called, Why Do We Fight So Much? And all week I've been out in New York and people have been asking me, why would you do that? Truthfully, I wasn't totally sure it was the right move, okay? But here's why I did it. My therapy patients come in and they share their lives with me. I mean, you guys listening to this, you're sharing your time with me. And I'm like, let me be real and show you who I really am. Because I'm asking you to trust me. I'm asking you to try strategies and listen to these songs and believe that music can actually change your life. And if I'm asking you to do that, then I need to show you that I'm in it too, right? I can't sit here and give you frameworks and playlists and neuroscience if I'm not willing to show you my own marriage, right? So last week, you got the real thing, a 12-year marriage. The fights, the lack of vision, that surprised me. The uncomfortable truth, that probably didn't surprise me so much. And the response has been kind of a lot, like overwhelming. People have been emailing me stories of their own marriages and a lot of divorces. Some people were mad at Randy, my husband. One of my patients emailed me and said, you're going to hate me, but I love Randy. He's great. I was like, no, I love Randy too. Questlove, my hero, sent me a message that just said, you're insane, with about 10 exclamation points. So we did it. It happened. Okay. Our February theme is relationships. In last week's episode, I shared the reality of the 12-year marriage, and that's useful if you're already in one. But what if you're just starting out? What if you're dating or trying to date and wondering why it feels so hard? That's what this episode is about. And I have good news and bad news. The bad news is my guest today, Damona Hoffman, confirms that yes, dating has gotten worse. It's not just you. It's actually harder than it used to be. But the good news, there are actual strategies that work, and one of them involves music. Let me start by saying, I am obsessed with the Love and Happiness playlist that I made for this month. You can find it in the show notes. There are obviously multiple bangers on it. Luther Vandross, Lauryn Hill, Prince, Led Zeppelin, who are my favorite band, if you didn't already know that. And I could have chosen one of about 1 million Led Zeppelin songs for this playlist, but I chose Thank You by Led Zeppelin for the list because Howard Stern called it the most romantic song of all time. And he always says the same quote. He says, if the sun refused to shine, I would still be loving you. We all want that thank you kind of love, soulmate love. I mean, come on, right? I want that. Last week, I told you how I use the heart song Magic Man to shift how I see my husband when I'm irritated. I don't change him, I change my state. And this week, we're talking about managing the state you're in before you even open dating apps. Because if you're swiping while you're feeling rejected, insecure, bored, or secretly hoping someone else will fix your mood, you're already operating from lack and it will not work. And Damona made this so clear to me. She said, don't look for a person to fix your mood. Fix your mood first. So what that means practically, put on the song that makes you feel magnetic. Put on the song that reminds you of who you are, and then go find the person. Music is the fastest state shifter we have. Look, even if you're not dating, I'm not dating, but even if you're not dating, you probably know someone who is, a friend, a niece, your cousin. So listen to this episode and share it with them. Like Mel Robbins says, share this with someone who needs it, but for real, because this episode is actually not theory. It's not like my hypotheses. It's actual strategy on how to date. This is how you stop wasting months of your life. My guest today is Damona Hoffman. She's a relationship strategist and a dating expert. You may have seen her on the Drew Barrymore Show, Access Daily, and PR. She's worked with Bumble, Match, OkCupid. Her award-winning podcast is called Dates and Mates, so cute. And her best-selling book is called, I love this, F the Fairy Tale, which feels very on brand for what Randy and I did on this show last week. We're not chasing fantasy. We're building something real. So put your headphones on, shift your state. Here is my conversation with Damona Hoffman. Welcome, Damona Hoffman.
Thank you, Hesta. It's good to be here.
So my first question for you is, What is it like to be a dating expert, a relationship expert, and be out in the world? Are people peppering you with questions all the time?
It's like being a doctor on call 24/7. My dad actually, he's a retired doctor, and it is kind of similar because we'd be out in the world and people are like, can you look at this thing on my elbow, my knee? It's the same as a dating expert because everyone is in relationship with someone. Whether they are seeking a romantic relationship, whether they are married, whether they're just looking to communicate better in their daily life, everyone always has a question. And I've been doing this now for close to 20 years, if you can believe it. Close to 20 years. So I'd like to think that I have some of the answers.
All right. So here's my question. Is it getting worse? Because everyone I speak to, from my patients to my friends, they're all convinced that it's gotten worse. Much worse.
It being dating specifically?
Yes, dating specifically. That's what I really want to focus on today, is dating specifically.
Yes. The answer to your question is yes. And if you had asked me 2 years ago, because a lot of people have been down on dating for a while, and I've been carrying the torch like, no, it's okay. We're going to get through this. And now I'm just like, you know what? F the fairy tale. It is worse. But I still believe that there's hope. And like, that's what Drew Barrymore called my book, Hope with a Roadmap. I still believe that there's a way forward, but it's going to require everyone who is in the dating scene to be accountable to themselves as well as to the way that they show up for other people. And a lot of folks don't feel like doing that, especially like post-pandemic, and There's been a lot of changes in the way that we connect and the way that we communicate, most importantly. And it's causing a lot of fatigue in our lives overall, and that is spilling over into dating.
I want to ask you about three things you said, but quickly, do you mean because dating has moved on almost exclusively online? When you say changes in how we are communicating, do you mean texting and ghosting and kind of all the new ways that people speak digitally?
I mean, all of it. And a lot of people who are frustrated with dating will point to dating apps and say dating apps are the problem. The paradox of choice, because there are so many options on the dating apps, or it's only about how you look. That's always been a factor. I believe that the single most impactful factor in how we date today is the way that we communicate. It's not just the connecting on the dating app. And I met my husband online over 20 years ago. It's not just the connecting online. It's the fact that all of our communication now is digital. So even if you meet someone in person, IRL, what's the first thing you do? You say, what's your Instagram? What's your phone number? And then you start texting.
Right, that's right.
And it's creating this different dynamic in a language that most of us did not grow up learning how to speak. We didn't learn text.
That's true, right? And I see with my patients especially so many problems, not just in dating, but with spouses. I'm married. I've been married for 13 years. The fact that like thank you very much, and not easy, a lot of work, but the inability to decipher tone via text is of epidemic proportion. But I want to come back and ask you about what you said. You said the way out of how hard this is that people need to be accountable to themselves. So if you break that down, how do you know if you're being accountable to yourself? What does that look like?
Yeah, if you are feeling down about dating, feeling down about yourself, and your answer is, let me go to the dating app and get a little hit of self-confidence by swiping through in a mindset that is not conducive to swiping, you're not going to like the result.
Okay, what does that sound like? So if I'm asking specifically for someone that I work with, and I think that she's probably doing this, what does it sound like on the inside? We talk about, let me even back it up. We talk about mindset. That's a word that I use a lot. You use it a lot. To me, what mindset means is the thoughts that are sort of running on autopilot that we don't even hear, we don't realize. That's what I think of when I say mindset. So is that what you mean? And what does that mindset sound like inside when it's the wrong mindset?
So when I say mindset, and that's the whole first section of my book, is mindset is how you are thinking about yourself, as you just said, but also thinking about who you want to date, and also just thinking about dating. So you've probably heard from your coworker or other people in your life, dating sucks. Dating is so hard today. I don't think I'm ever going to meet someone. I'll just say single. Why is it that this person has a match? Why is Taylor Swift getting married? Why is, it's all of these narratives that we take in through who we follow on social media, through the conversations that we're having with our friends that are also down on dating. It all gets metabolized into our bodies. And then we don't even realize how we show up in dating because we're just doing the thing. We're supposed to be dating. We're supposed to be swiping. Everyone's online, so I guess I should be here. And I don't like this experience. If you don't like this experience, then change this experience. And the answer is not, I'm just not going to do online dating. Because that's just like saying, well, I'm not going to do online shopping. And It's like, well, but you probably at some point are going to find that to be more convenient. And instead, can you put some safeguards, put some processes in place? And I know we're talking about dating, and this sounds very sexy to put a process around dating, but it really does save the experience and helps you show up as your best self and attract in somebody who's the best match for you.
Okay, I got it. So it sounds to me, I want to make sure everybody understands what I'm getting from this, and I like it a lot because I know there's an actionable strategy coming next, a process, a strategy, very sexy words, but that's how you change your life, right? So it sounds like what you're saying is that we're taking all the negative messages, all the negative self-talk, all the negative things my friends are saying, all the negative reactions we have to Taylor finding her man and all of this. And then we're going on the app with that running in the background. And so if we put these structures around it, or what did you say? You said safeguards, processes.
Safeguards,
safeguards around it so that we're changing. What does that look like? What are like the safeguards? What are two things a person can do before they start swiping or before they step up to the app or the bar or whatever so that they're showing up with the right mindset?
You have to check in with yourself before you even begin the swipe. Sit down and say, am I in a good place for swiping? Did I just get yelled at by my boss? Did I is my sister annoying me? Whatever it is, are you in the right mindset to even be swiping? And then this is a really simple one, Hesta. I like to have my clients put a time limit on their swiping. If you just sit there for an hour and you get through all of the possible matches for you, and then you feel discouraged at the end, or you feel like, well, it didn't end up in any chats that ended up in any date opportunities, you're going to feel like crap. You're going to feel like you wasted your time. So protect your time. And time is one of the biggest complaints that I hear from my clients. I'm running out of time. I don't have time to do this. I don't want this person wasting my time.
Right.
So you protect your own time first and show up in the mindset that is hopeful, expansive, and ready for love.
Okay, so what's the right amount of time? What's a good time limit? If you're someone who's okay, you get yourself, so this is music is therapy, right? I use music to change mindset. That's the headline. Change can be fun. So let's say I'm going on to swipe. I'm going to put on my love playlist. I'm listening to Cuff It by Beyonce. I'm ready to go. I'm telling myself all the good stories about myself. I'm ready to find love. Now I'm going to put a time limit on it. What's the right time limit?
I don't like to give specifics because then I say a number and then people are like, Damona said 15 minutes. And so it's only 15 minutes and it can't be 10 minutes and it can't be 20 minutes. It's like 15-ish minutes. But if you get into a chat, like let's say you're online, you're matching with people who are online at the same time. They send you a message as soon as you match. Now you're in the DMs. Now you're chatting. That can take a little bit longer. So if you're at that 15-minute mark, you don't want to be like, well, I'll talk to you another time. Because also that the momentum is really important with online dating. Once you're in the chat with someone, you're driving towards the date. And a lot of people stay in what I call in the book, the texting trap.
Yes.
It is a trap. Because then you get this false sense of knowing someone that when you actually do get offline, if you get offline, they can never live up to that potential that you've designed for them in your mind.
Right. Okay. Here's a question from my friend. Let's call her Melanie. How do you go from the DMs to IRL?
Listen, Melanie, first of all, I like to have only 3 exchanges or less before you move to the next step.
But how do you do that without sounding like, you're pushing, or how do you let them chase you in only 3 steps?
You don't give in to the good morning, hey beautiful texts. It's basically like, oh, I can't chat right now, but I would love to tell you more about that when we meet. The invitation has been set. The other thing I will say, I'm not really big on gender norms, and a lot of my clients are all across the spectrum, and I think we need to let some of that go. That's part of what I talk about with the fairy tale. It's this idea, well, I'm a woman dating a man, so therefore he's the only one who can suggest that we have a date. He's the only one who can make the first move. You know what? It's your life. Take responsibility for it. And it's your time. If you don't want to be in the texting trap, going back and forth, talking about how your workday was, don't do it. Don't do it, and set the stage for the romance that you want to have.
Let me ask you this again. How do you go from the DMs to IRL? How do you get from the DMs to the date?
You set the date. You message them. I would love to tell you about that when I see you on our date. End of story. And let them pick it up. Or you just say, I would like to date. I would like to go on a date. Let's get drinks. Let's do this. And make a specific suggestion. So a lot of times people are like, we should meet up. And then it just becomes another texting trap of, what should we do? Where should we go? When are you available? We're too tired for that, Hesta. We ain't got time.
I love this advice because this is what I hear. And I'm not a dating expert, but I'm a therapist and I'm a DJ. I'm out in the world. And this is what I hear most of the time is that people don't want to online date. They acquiesce to online dating with the wrong attitude. Okay, maybe they get the right attitude and they get stuck in that back and forth about, the small talk forever, and then when and where and how, and we're meeting Thursday, and now it's Thursday, and I didn't hear from them, and when should I reach out to them, and all of this. So what you're suggesting is be direct, be specific, and ask for what you want. And if you're not getting it here, move on.
Absolutely. Yeah, and also don't allow people's bad behavior. Like I just heard a story on my podcast, Dates and Mates. Someone was saying that this guy sent seductive language in his text, and it made her feel uncomfortable. And she was like, I don't know, like, should I send him pictures? I don't know what I should do. Let's call it out. No, that's not acceptable. That makes me feel uncomfortable. You shouldn't do that. Because
right,
if we're not if we're not calling it out, like actually call out bad behavior. If you're not doing it, then who is? Then he's going to do that to somebody else. And then you're going to keep accepting it in the next situation, Okay, here's another question. When does working on yourself become procrastination? I think you could answer that question as a therapist, but I believe we learn in motion. And I am always encouraging my clients to do the mindset work out in the world. So you learn the most about yourself, I believe, when you're in a relationship with other people. And that doesn't necessarily mean when you're in a committed long-term relationship. You will learn from going to a date. You will learn what you like and what you don't like and who you are and how you show up. And I use dates as a tool to go deeper in our own self-discovery.
In what way? Like, give me an example of what that looks like.
An example is you spend a lot of time getting ready for the date, and you want it to be perfect, and you show up on time, and then that person is 20 minutes late. So then you fly off the handle, and your anger issues and your control issues come to the surface. And then you realize when you get home, you know what? I don't like to feel like that. So let me, one, get a handle on how I'm showing up and what is triggering me in those situations, and two, set expectations with other people that, punctuality is really important to me. And then they know how to show up for you. Does that make sense?
It makes perfect sense. So something else I see with my patients a lot is this idea that the person almost should come out of the box the way you want them. and the struggle of should I is giving them another chance, or is giving them more time me not living up to what I think I deserve? You know what I'm saying? Let me think if I can see how to word this question. Yeah. I want to see if I can word this question so that I can record myself wording it. What am I asking you? I'm asking you essentially, how much time do you give someone to be flexible and work around you? What's the right amount of time what's the difference between giving someone a chance and lowering your standards?
This is why the mindset piece is really important, because I have people identify 3 must-haves and 1 deal breaker. I say 1 deal breaker because we can find any reason to say no. We want to have the reasons to say yes. But then it is a really clear decision. If somebody has stepped on your deal breaker, there's no coming back from that. There's no for me, I do not like canceling of plans last minute. That is a deal breaker for me. And before I met my husband, I walked away from a dating situation, a guy that I was really into, but he canceled last minute on me twice. I gave him the chance the second time. And the second time I'm just like, there's literally nothing that you can say that is going to change my mind here. In my head, I don't say all this, but I'm just like, no. And no is a complete sentence. I knew that my deal breaker had been compromised. And
Did
that
you tell
was
him?
just...
Did you tell him the first time?
I just told him no.
When you did it the first time, did you were you like, yo, I really don't like this?
I did. You know what's funny? I actually didn't hear from him after he canceled the first time. It was like a year later or 6 months later. And then he came back and I was like, but dude, what happened then? And then we'd had the distance. And so, but I would have, if he'd called me back, I would have said, I'm not into it because of this deal breaker. And then I compromised my own deal breaker the second time. Right. And that didn't feel great for me. And then to have it reconfirmed.
It's almost it's almost like when someone hits your deal breaker, it's indicative of the person who hit your deal breaker is the same person who would disappear for a year and then come back and do it again.
Ain't that the truth? So I didn't get the message the first time. I had to go through it a second time. And this happens to a lot of my clients too. And this is why I say we learn in relationship. We learn what our deal breakers are. We learn what our must-haves are. And a lot of times we are focused on the wrong things. We're focused on, I talk about in the book, the list and dating on paper of, well, my mother wanted me to marry someone Jewish, and so therefore I must. Why? And I break it down with my clients in a series of whys to get to the root of, is this your belief? Is this your goal? Or does this belong to someone else?
I like this. So essentially what you're saying is, you tell me if I'm getting this right. There's 3 must-haves and 1 deal breaker. That's what we're going out with. But in identifying the must-haves, are these your must-haves? Are these really must-haves? Getting very clear on what the must-haves are really takes you closer to finding the right person.
Yeah, and that's a whole process to get clear on that, because most people are out here just stuck in the swipe and they're doing what everybody else is doing because that's what they're supposed to be doing. And it doesn't make dating feel like a road to your meeting your person who's going to enhance your life. It does feel like a waste of time for a lot of people. And so when you get to that point, my advice is stop. Take a break. Take a break. Do something else that fuels your soul. Go listen to music. Go get a hobby. Spend time with your family. And then come back at it. Spend a little time getting clear on those must-haves and deal breakers.
Yeah.
And then, or deal breaker, I should say. And then come back at it when you can enter the dating scene again fresh.
I love this. Your book, F the Fairy Tale, is full of expertise. It's full of tips. It's full of actionable strategies. Can you give us one freebie for listeners right now to take away?
Your dates are probably too long.
Huh.
Yeah. I like for my clients to spend 1 hour, maybe 90 minutes tops on a first date.
So not a meal.
No, definitely not a meal. No dinner. No dinner. A drink, an activity of some kind, but keep it short because we want to think of the energy of the date on a good date feels like it's ending in the middle. and you want it to feel like there's something to be continued. And the problem is we overstay our welcome. And then what do you remember on a first date? You remember the beginning and you remember the end. And if the end is like, well, it started to drag and we ran out of things to talk about, how is that going to build momentum to the second date? So just that one tip could completely change your listeners' lives in dating.
I love this. It's like, leave them wanting more. I feel like Bahita's over here nodding his head. He really heard that one. Leave them wanting more. So let me ask you some music questions. Are you a music person?
Yeah. Who doesn't like music?
A lot of people, weirdly. I know you talk about some sort of like spiritual traditions from different cultures and things in your book. I'm wondering if there's any music practices you do, or I'm just asking you these questions and we'll figure out your answer to get us something. Yeah. But is there, do you like to put on, do you listen to love songs before you go on a date? Is that a good idea? Do you listen to love songs and dream about the person who's your partner to help put you in the right mindset? How can people use music to get closer to attracting the love that they want and deserve?
Yeah. Well, I talk about having pre-date rituals, or I call them mindset movers in my program. And that is anything that shifts your mental state into the frame of mind of the experience you're entering, in this case, dating. So having a playlist, I have all my clients make a pre-date playlist. No joke, Hesta. Make a pre-date playlist of the music that makes you feel up. Don't listen to the sad songs. Please don't listen to like Olivia Rodrigo and like, all of these like angsty breakup songs. Listen to something that makes you feel elevated, expansive, and hopeful about love. And that just gets your, like, has the beat that makes you feel in your body. That's the other thing on a date. A lot of times we're so in our heads that we're just dating by checklist and like, let me ask, how many kids does he want? What's his family like? What's his just how does it feel to be on the date with this person?
Be present, right? Be present. What's on your here's the last question. For every month of this podcast, we're doing best year ever. Every month of DJ Hester Prynne's Music is Therapy on iHeartRadio, a long title. Every month is about an area of life and having your best year ever in that area of life. This, of course, is February, and we're talking about love and relationships. So every month has a playlist to help inspire you to have the best year ever in that area of life. What's an artist for you, Damona, who must be on the love playlist?
Hesta, I love Jason Mraz. His music just makes me so happy all the time. I actually saw him on my third date with my husband. I was at a Jason Mraz concert and I was like, this couldn't be more perfect. But I love all of his music, but particularly Have It All, I think is just one of the best songs ever, because it's not just about like, it's not flowery romantic language. It's like, I want you to have it all. I want you to have the best life. And like, if we're in relationship together and you're having the best life, I'm having the best life too. I want to have it all as well.
I love that. Two of us together. I'm going to hit you with one fun trivia fact about me now that we're new friends. Jason Mraz put out a record called Curbside Prophet, or Waiting for My Rocket to Come. There's a song called Curbside Prophet. The first recording session I ever did for another artist, I have a long background, right, was on the song Curbside Prophet. And Mark Ronson was the engineer. And there was a space in the middle. And I wrote the line, something like, that kid is crazy. What's up with MRAZ? That's me on that record. And Elektra Records paid me. This is because I knew nothing about business. They paid me $500 in cash money to write that line. And I recorded with Ronson, I signed it, and I walked out the door and I was like, I'm rich. I made it.
Oh,
and that was it. And then the record went on to sell like 20 million copies. Can you imagine?
I still listen to that.
Well, that's me.
Wow, that is a story.
So stupid, but so funny. But anyway, I love that you brought Jason Mraz into that. Yeah, we live and we learn. This was so awesome. I'm so psyched that you did this. I'm really grateful to have you. You're my first interview of this entire podcast series.
Thank you.
But yeah,
this was fantastic, and this is going to be an amazing show. So thank you for having me.
I'm so grateful. Thank you so much, Damona, and have a great day.
Too.
Okay.
You too.
So here's what we did in the last 2 weeks. First, I showed you what a real 12-year marriage looks like. The fights, the confusion, the uncomfortable truths. This week, Damona Hoffman showed you how to build something better from the start, and the through line is the same. Love doesn't change because you get luckier. It changes because you show up differently, right? Change your state, change what you create. I accidentally said that in my monologue last week, and I think it's like a saying I'm going to use for the next 20 years. So here's your assignment. Before you open the apps, if that's what you're doing, before you walk into that first date or the third date or the 300th date, it doesn't matter. Before you do it, pick your song. Put on the track that makes you feel grounded or confident or magnetic or sexy. You could do Led Zeppelin, Dazed and Confused, the sexiest song ever. Shift your state first and then go meet someone. The Love and Happiness playlist is in the show notes. Email me actually and let me know what song you chose or what song am I missing. I bet I'm missing a lot of good love songs. The email is musicistherapypod@gmail.com. I read and respond to every email, as you know, if you messaged me last week. And if you want a deeper, more structured way to work with this, I teach the full method in the Music Connection therapy course. That link is in the show notes too. And if this episode helped you, send it to someone who's dating right now or give it a stars or give it a comment. It really helps. Okay. Next week, Mark Groves joins me to talk about why you can't heal yourself alone. Like you can't. You can't fix your shit in isolation and then bring it into a relationship. Mark says healing happens in relationship with another person in real time. And he's also going to explain why social media is basically an abusive relationship and what to do about it. I make all these people tell us what to actually do. So if you've ever thought, I'll work on myself and then I'll be ready for love, that episode is for you. I am DJ Hester Prynne. This is Music is Therapy. I will see you next Friday. DJ Hester Prynne's Music is Therapy is a production of iHeart Podcasts. I'm your host, DJ Hester Prynne. Our executive producers are Marissa Bramwell and Jonathan Strickland. Our associate producer is Jonathan Klopp. Our marketing lead is Allison Cantor-Griebler. That's it.